Welcome to Shade and the City. I'm your girl Treese, and I'm tired. I'm tired. There's a reason why. But hey, y'all, how you doing? Welcome. Of course, we are here to get into none other than Beyond the Gates. Um, like I said, I'm a little tired today. I had an early morning meetings, and unfortunately, y'all, I was doing my little thing. I was taking my little notes for episode 95, Tuesday's episode. I had everything ready to go so I could come home, knock that out, and knock out 96, only to get home and my OneDrive didn't sync or save. So I had to go back and watch episode 95 for a third time. I'm not happy, y'all. I'm not happy. And let me just say, for both 95 and 96, I didn't really care for either episode. Maybe that's because I didn't like what was occurring, and I can admit that, but y'all know y'all about to get my true feelings anyway. So I appreciate y'all being here. And if you haven't already, please do me a favor. Go ahead, hit that like button. For all of those that are new here, make sure you give us a little wave in the chat, say hello. But also, if you liking the vibe, please go ahead and subscribe. I think we like maybe 110 or something from hitting 19 or no 2k. So help us out, y'all. Share us. 11 people. Share it with them, and hopefully they share it. Or 11 of y'all share it with 10 other people, and then hopefully they share it so we can get to our goal. Okay. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all in advance. I'm just playing. But no, y'all. So yeah, let's get into episode 95 of Beyond the Gates and let's get shady. So when I tell y'all, I really got to make a TikTok because if y'all could see the way you could tell when I'm not happy with the episode, and I didn't realize it till today when I had to watch this episode for the third time, and then I'm just reliving it over and over again, and I'm typing all hard and aggressively. It's really bad. Okay, I'd be like, I can't wait to get up here and tell these mother how I feel. You know what I'm saying? It was real aggressive. Okay. So anyway, we open up this episode. Vernon is reading the news about KKK Kenny being found in the park in the newspaper, and he has a flashback to the conversation with Bill, reassuring him that look, he ain't sloppy and he handled it. It's handled, okay. So we know Vernon was concerned about his family being an accessory to unaliving. Okay, now he receives a knock at the door, and it's Tracy, Sharon, and Ethel. Okay, if you know, if you've been here for a while, if you know, you know. Okay, for the newbies, Ethel is Sharon's wig that I wish she would retire. Okay, so Ethel walks in and asks Vernon why Anita ghosted them after begging them to get back together. So then Anita walks in the room and said, "Why don't you ask me yourself?" Okay, and so Sharon and Tracy said, "Look, well, really, Tracy is like, look, we just here to finish the conversation that we were having before you dipped on us, okay?" And Vernon said, "Look, well, you know what? This ain't my business." So he tries to excuse himself, but Anita said, "Nah, you need to stay because I might need a witness." All right. So Anita wants to know, well, why did y'all invite yourselves over to my house? And so Sharon, um, Ethel tells Anita that she invited them when she came back into their lives and got them dreaming again. And so she accuses Anita of basically abandoning them the second that things didn't go her way. And so Anita admits that, you know what? You're right, Sharon. She said, I am responsible for opening the door, leaving the door open. But she said, I'm ready to close it. Okay. But no, she said, I opened the door, but y'all never fully walked through it. And so Anita said, well, if it won't going to be about the choreography, it was going to be about something else. And so y'all just wanted to fuss. All right. And y'all never really gave me a chance in the first place. And so Ethel's being all snarky, and she asked Anita, well, can you please just stop? Do you need me to kneel and bow at your feet, queen? And, but basically, can you stop with the standoff so we can get back to, trying to get this reunion together? Okay. Cause we know that's all she care about is getting her spotlight. So Anita tells him, look, if this was your way of thinking that y'all was gonna get me to go along, then y'all really don't know me at all. If you don't know me by now, you'll never really know me ever. Okay. Then Vernon happens to come back in a room with tea for the ladies and tells them that, I couldn't help but overhear, but y'all sound like a whole bunch of chickens in the coop. You know what I'm saying? Just squawking at each other. No, actually, he said that they sound like a whole bunch of high school girls bickering. So then Anita says that, you know what? I thought maybe we could get past the choreography, but this just wasn't meant to be. And I ain't even gonna hold y'all. A part of this annoyed me too. I mean, I guess I knew the Articulates reunion was gonna spin the block. I guess I just didn't expect it this soon. We talked about it in the live last week. We were like, oh, we probably not gonna get that to like September. So I guess I just wasn't ready for it. I wanted Anita to she literally just got home, but we gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. But still, I mean, she just has so much to deal with and so much on her plate that she just got back to. I just felt it was weird to does anybody else feel that way? And y'all can respectfully disagree in the comments, but did anybody feel like there was a lot to add to her storyline right now? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. So Anita feels like, well, maybe it just wasn't meant to be. And Sharon suggests that, well, maybe it is, but and when you get the running, when things get tough. And so Tracy said, look, that's the wrong road right there. That road you traveling, it ain't gonna work. Okay. And she admits that, Anita, we really didn't give you a real chance. And so Anita was like, well, thank you for agreeing with me and not over here gaslighting me, making me feel like I'm crazy. Tracy says, however, I think that you're so used to being in charge that you're refreshing old wounds. And so Anita said, look, I don't know about y'all, but I ain't trying to forget about the past. I'm just not trying to live in it every moment. And I was like, hallelujah, sister. Okay. Anita said, I am not interested in treading the same ground and thinks that, we said what we needed to say in Chicago. And I was like, I wish she would have stuck to this. All right. So then Vernon speaks up and he starts talking about the memories of, fall in love with Anita while at the same time fall in love with her music. And, why did your audience like you? And so they figure out, oh, because, they heard, they saw a story or they heard a story in our music and they saw themselves in us. So Vernon basically, and so he's like, well, that's what y'all need to do. He's like, I'm not saying that you can't, you can't honor the past and Barbara, but you need to do that through y'all music. And so he convinces the ladies to give it another shot. And he said, but find a studio here in DC or DMV to record. You ain't your ass back to Cabrini Green. Okay. And so they finally all agree, and Anita tells them that she'll, she realizes, okay, the error of her ways. And so we see her correct herself when she's like, oh, I'm gonna send y'all a great studio. And then she's like, you know what? No, I'm gonna send y'all some options. And so that obviously, makes the ladies happy. And once they leave, Anita and Vernon, they just are exchanging playful banter. But Anita tells them that, look, you ain't off the hook for not telling me about Martin sooner. And she makes him promise never to withhold any information from her like that again. And this is what I was talking about. You just literally walk back into this. And now I just would have thought they would have let things cool off a little bit. Now, this is another thing that irritated me. Shout out to Rhonda. I didn't know what you were talking about, Rhonda, on in your comments on episode 94, because obviously you were talking about today's episode. Or Tuesday's episode, I should say. And I was so irritated by Chelsea and this crazy her, y'all know who I'm talking about. Her, crazy eyed Allison. So we see her catching up with Cat on the drama about crazy eyed Allison and all free jeans. And Cat asked her, well, you was in love with her. Do you still Do you still got a thing for her? You trying to get that old thing back? Because you was just in love 2 to 3 weeks ago. Never forget. Okay. And so Kat gets a text from Ted telling her to come by. And so now as Kat is leaving, we see Allison run in with a big ash on her head, kind of like this one. Okay. All right. And she basically, Allison claims she slipped on a crack on the sidewalk. And so Chester said, well, girl, this whole thing, this whole thing is bleeding. You know why you in here trying to get cupcakes and oxtails? You need to go to the hospital. And you know what? Let me drive you. And then what's so crazy is Allison Thomason. So does that mean you want to play doctor? I said, if you don't realize that this is crazy, this irritated my soul. That's why I had to do something to make it funny. Okay. So anyway, so then Chelsea ends up taking her off to the hospital, right? Now y'all know I'm gonna be mad AF tomorrow if my face break out from that ketchup. But anyway, so Bill happens to be on the phone with Joey telling him that, Marcel basically got the job done. And so he tells him Vernon needs to, basically keep himself in check because he, has all this guilt, but assures Joey that, but, it ain't nothing to worry about. I got it. So then Tomas walks in to deliver him some mail. Again, another scene that irritated me. I can't hold you. If I had to rate both of these episodes just off content, I'd probably give it like a 4. And that's like low for Beyond the Gates. But just every scene, I felt like I don't care. Am I tripping? Yeah, again, y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, but I literally felt like every scene I was just like, I don't care. I don't care to hear about this. Like, so anyway, yeah, Tomas delivers the mail to Bill, and in it is a sonogram that Haley has sent to him. And so, of course, she conveniently walks in and, tells him that it's, a picture that she had sent from the hospital of their ghost baby. And Bill is ready to find out the gender of the baby. Okay. And Haley's still claiming, well, I'm only 10 weeks. Y'all, is my math not mathing? Won't she 2 weeks? I mean, like 10 weeks, 2 weeks ago? In our time, right? So I'm gonna say that in our time. But in Beyond the Gates time, wouldn't it still be I feel like she would still be, I don't know. And the fact that Bill is going along with it, like I said, who asked for this? Who asked for this? So Bill tells her basically get her next appointment on a calendar so he can be there. And after Tomas leaves, Haley starts questioning Bill about, taking over Martin's press conference and, how he looked so scared after he showed him his phone and was in the fetal position. And Bill, I love how Bill just kept curving her every which way. And he changes the subject and basically goes back to the ultrasound. So she's still trying to get him to spill tea on what's going on with the Duprees, and Bill again deflects. And so Haley's like, you know what, this press conference looked messy, and we have a future that you need to be here for. I'm so annoyed with the storyline. I don't know how we're faking a baby. Maybe once they kind of give us some nuggets as to how she's going to pull this off, because everything that I could have thought up. So I'd be interested. I do. Was it in the live that we talked about maybe Eva will get pregnant and Leslie will take her baby and give it to Haley? I don't know. But either way, you're supposed to be 10 weeks at this point. That's a little far along. Not many people don't know they pregnant at 10 weeks. I mean, some, they have random stories, but still, I think most people know before 10 weeks when they're pregnant. Okay. And Haley wants to know that, is he stepping back into the Dupree orbit, and worries, about him having another stroke. And Bill tells her that, basically right now he's not Vernon's favorite person, but said that he never really was. And I mean, we know that. So now we see Ted. He's at the hotel reading the news about KKK Kenny as well when Kat pops up. So Kat acts confused. Well, so Ted is acting confused that she's there, and Kat tells him that, oh, well, I got your text message, summoning me. And so then Eva walks in the door and lets him know that, oh, no, that was me. That was me. And I said, oh, well. Now, I do think this was somewhat of a good scene, but I didn't like Ted. I didn't like Ted this whole scene. Tiny Ted is what they call him. So as Ted is about to agree, that basically that's not a good look. Eva's like, no, I promise I won't do anything else like this again. But I thought it was important that we came together, and Cat wouldn't have came if I would have texted her. So she tells Ted that, look, I know I messed up your accreditation certificate. And Cat looks nervous for a second, like, I wish this would say something. You know what I'm saying? And so she act like she trying to leave. So Kat decides to stay to hear what Eva has to say, but said basically her playing on Ted's phone is very similar to crazy ass Leslie behavior. Okay. So Ted agrees that, you know what, Eva, that wasn't the best idea. Don't be, you already know Kat don't like you. I don't even know why y'all got each other number. I'm trying to figure out how we got there. But I guess because maybe she got it from Nicole. It had to be. It had to be. Or maybe it's in Ted's database. Because again, they don't like each other. Why would you have each other's number? Why would I ever need to call on you for anything? Like she said, I got Chelsea. So Eva reveals to both of them that she was able to get a new certificate. And so Ted is like really impressed by her accomplishment. And Eva shares, I did have to talk him into a rush job. And Kat is like, oh, so what did you have to do to get that? And so Ted is like, really, Kat? And Kat is like, I'm just saying, you want to make sure she got, reputable business practices. That's all ethical. Okay. Don't have me call blatant truth out here and write you up. Kat is like, well, how did you get out of the fine? And Eva admits that, oh, I just threw your ass under the bus. And I told him that the office manager suddenly left and it slipped through the cracks. And so Kat, of course, is pissed that she did this at her expense. And Ted, dismisses Kat's frustration. This pissed me off. And lets her know, oh, the fashion world won't care about that. Everybody wins. No, the only person who's winning is Eva not catching these hands. Because Eva would have FAFO'd. But you know what? I can't say nothing. Now, I don't think I would have been as upset if Eva would have just kept it here. I think this was equivalent or on the same level to what Kat did to her. So I'm not going to negate that. It's the fact for me, and I think it might have been Princess, it might have been Elaine, it might have been both of y'all, and we might have all been in agreement. What I hate is how she went to hell with it with Tomas. Okay? Like we can go bat to bat and be on the same level, but you took it to hell when you started flirting with Tomas and trying to sleep with Tomas. Okay? But let me not skip ahead. So he tells Eva how, Ted is singing her praises and telling Eva how impressed he is, and says that, he hopes that it erases any doubt for her or that she has about working for the practice. And basically said, you saved me and Carlton a whole lot of money. And I said, y'all gonna stop throwing out my man name and not bring them up here. Okay. So he tells her, go take a long lunch and, go work from home for the rest of the day because she did a good job. She did a good job. She did. And so Kat is visibly annoyed at this point. And so Eva thanks Kat for, taking the hit and says, hey, it's not like any of this was your fault. That's why I said, okay, that was the equivalent. I'm not going to act like that wasn't I got you, you got me, hit me, and I hit you back. Like that was equivalent. Okay. So Ted is going on and on about how impressed he is with Eva. So he's like, you should be impressed as well. And Kat said, I wouldn't have never created the situation. So Ted said, look, Eva is working hard for a clean slate. And Kat said, that little small win don't change who she is. And so Ted says, well, who Eva is your sister. And Kat said, hold on, half. I don't claim her. That's you. And so, Ted trying to be on this, we are one, and no, we're not. We're not one. And Ted, I think you reaching talking about, oh, my blood is running through both of y'all. Boy, bye. And so is Leslie's crazy ass, supposedly. We are not the same. Okay. So he's all hopeful that one day that they'll, have some type of relationship. And Cat claps back and tells him he shouldn't have never sneezed in Leslie's direction, which kind of pisses Ted off. Like, okay, now you're getting a little too grown. You're getting a little too big for your britches. All right. And he tells Cat, look, being cute isn't really that cute on you no more. Okay. So, especially when it's, when we're talking about the end of my marriage here. So of course, Kat apologizes to her father, and which I like this. I even though I was like, oh, Kat, oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? However, like I said, I'm from a generation, we show respect. We not, I hate to go off topic, but we ain't Jackie and her child. We ain't throwing blows with mama. You know what I'm saying? We don't do that over here, okay? I'm sorry, that was a Basketball Wives reference for those who didn't know. So Kat apologizes and Ted explains that Eva is not to blame for his for the affair, and that's his error. And so he tells Kat that hating Eva isn't going to make what he did go away. And so Kat reminds Ted that Eva not only hurt Nicole but her as well. And I was like, yeah, cuz y'all kind of conveniently, y'all selective memory is wild to me. So Ted says that's Dana and his fault. And Kat thinks that Leslie and Eva should both be in jail, and she goes in on Ted about how Eva is just encroaching on everything that she cares about, like her daddy, her job, and her boyfriend. And I really could appreciate, and this is why I said I didn't like Ted during this scene, because I think this is the first time. I mean, even though she's like said little things, but little smart things before, but I think Kat tried to go around acting so, I guess you can say, unbothered. And I could appreciate her admitting, like, no, this really bothers me that this girl is like coming in and taking over everything that was once mine. So I did appreciate that, right? Basically, Ted is confused because he's like, Eva wouldn't do that. Eva not that type of girl to be going. She know you dating Tomas, and she said you just basing this on hurt feelings. And Kat lets him know about Eva's actions and how she invited Tomas back to her room, and hoping that book talk would turn into pillow talk. And Ted said, "Well, how do you know Tomas was in the room?" And Kat deflects and said, "Well, don't worry about it." But then I said, "Oh, you realize that you talk too damn much." Okay. So then Ted said, "Look, I'm not convinced that, their little book club is even trying to make a move, right?" So Kat reminds him that, look, you fell for Leslie pouring coffee. And I said, "Well, there go that mouth again." And she said, "And if Tomas is naive as you are, he won't see it coming." Okay. And so he's just trying to convince Kat that she has this whole wrong idea about Eva. And then she, of course, gets a text and leaves, which I do believe ends up being Nicole. So then that Eva is down at Orphe Jean's, I guess, celebrating, getting her little, long lunch. And Tomas rolls in and they talk about their nerdy series they've been reading. I really didn't like this scene either, but I guess we had to get it. Um, Tomas, and can I just tell y'all, I mean, thank you for those that have given my things, but I absolutely called this. I said she gonna, man, it's just only a matter of time. And I really feel like, yes, she like him, but she's doing it even more to piss Kat off. Tomas brings up how, Kat had mentioned to him that she was now running Ted's office, and Eva tells him that she almost lost her job because of Kat. So Tomas wants to know, well, what happened? And so, I do appreciate the fact that Eva tried not to snitch on Kat. Okay. She did go over it. She took full responsibility about the whole accreditation thing. She didn't try to be like, okay, you know what I mean? So, but Tomas kept pressing her. She was, as she's talking about, oh, Ted was so disappointed in me. And so Tomas is just telling her that your relationship with your dad shouldn't be dependent on your work. And so he's like, but you said mention something about Kat. So can you tell me what part she played? And so she finally confesses that Kat set her up for failure. And so Tomas, of course, is disappointed to hear that, about Kat's behavior. Like he's somebody daddy. But anyway, and so he asked Eva why she didn't, why didn't you say nothing to Ted? And Eva feels like, well, I don't want to burn Kat because I've already done enough to my daddy. You know what I'm saying? The last thing I want to do is take Kat from him and make him think his precious baby girl might be evil like me. Tomas talks about, Cat being stuck in this revenge loop and purposely trying to hurt her. And so Eva swears, Tomas to secrecy and is like, you know, please don't tell nobody. And they end up sharing a kiss in the middle of Offrey Jeans in the middle of the day. And conveniently, ain't nobody around when it's only two places to go. That made me so mad. If we gonna do it, can we at least get caught? Can we at least catch them so somebody can run back and give Cat the tea? But conveniently, won't nobody else in there. So I guess they was all down at the Uptown in the middle of the day. Think about it. Think about it. Or no, maybe they was all at the hospital. I don't know. Speaking of the hospital, Shanice is sitting on the phone with Derek. This is another scene that I really didn't care about. All right. But I guess this is our little scene that leads us into another Chelsea Madison Allison scene. So Shanice is on the phone with Derek, who's invited her out to a wine bar, and she questions whether she's being chivalrous or just trying to make Ashley jealous when Ashley conveniently walks by. Okay. And so Shanice, hurry up and get off the phone. And she's like, hey, Ashley. And Ashley said, oh, so you just gonna pretend like I didn't just hear you say that you was trying to make me jealous? And so Dr. 3M comes over and interrupts, and she's asking Ashley about a patient's condition. And that's when Chelsea comes off the elevator with Allison. I'm not putting no more ketchup on my head, but um, Allison. Okay. So she comes back, and so Madison looks annoyed as hell. So after they admit Allison, Madison tells Chelsea that, you can go check on her after Ashley and Shanice finish bandaging her, and I do my little checkup or whatever. And so Chelsea said, well, what are you thinking right now? And so Madison said, well, what happened to your girlfriend so I could put it in her chart? I said, oh, oh. And so Chelsea is like, look, I just brought Allison to the hospital because she was injured. She was bleeding. And she was like, I love you. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Why you acting like this? And so Madison claims, look, I'm just asking because, I'm her doctor. Okay. So Chelsea tells her that, look, Allison claims that she fell on the sidewalk. And so Madison's a little skeptical of her story. And she's like, well, why was she at Orphe Jeans in the first place? Said, well, there's that. So Chelsea tells her, well, I don't know. The only date I had was with Cat. And so Madison says, you know what? I got to go check on my patients. I ain't got time. I ain't got time. So then Dr. 3M goes to check on Allison, and she in there like, oh, am I going to live? Am I going to be okay to make it another day to stalk Chelsea? And so she like, nah, you good, girl. You know, you just clumsy as hell. And I gotta, check you, make sure you sane or whatever. So Chelsea comes in the room, and so Madison said, and so Allison gives her the okay for her to, update her on her condition. And so before Chelsea leaves, Allison, are you coming back, Chelsea? Are you coming back? And so Chelsea's like, sure. And I was like, literally, I said this on X and Blue Sky. If you don't call that girl's next to kin and leave her at that hospital, I was so irritated. I said, what are we doing? Fine. I guess this is what we do. Everybody's so charitable in the goddamn Duprees, I swear. Chelsea goes out to talk to Madison, and she's like, oh, see? And she tries to make a joke about Allison banging herself up just to get to her. And she's like, you really think I just be gotten all these just going nuts, huh? And Madison said, that ain't funny. I don't know what you thought, but that ain't funny to me. And she said, I'm gonna go check on some more patients because I'm at work. Okay. So Chelsea goes back to see Allison, and Allison tells her that, you don't have to hide your feelings about Madison. And Chelsea said, I know, I'm in love. It's only been 5 days, but I'm in love. And I just wasn't trying to rub it in your face. And so she said, you know what? I'm going to have Martin go look at that sidewalk. And so Allison admits to Chelsea, girl, I ain't fall. I ain't fall. So Allison tells her that Craig busted her head on a table because he thought that she wasn't over Chelsea. And so Chelsea said, so why did you come to Offrey Jeans instead of the hospital? And so Allison admits, because I knew you was going to be there. And of course, I was going to drive straight to you. I said, oh. You're rabbit in the pot crazy. Oh, okay. So, and literally Madison is on the other side of the door, ear hustling. So, back at the nurse's station, Ashley is trying to talk to Shanice about, what she addressed earlier. Um, and Shanice is trying to talk about this love triangle she see going on between Chelsea, Dr. 3M, and Allison. And so Ashley brings up what she said before Chelsea got there about making her jealous. And Shanice, I love how Shanice clapped back and said, you know what? You were the one doing that the other day when you called Andre over here and said, look, I don't blame you. Derek and Andre, they both snacks, okay? She said, but what I don't appreciate you doing is stepping to me when you live in a glass house. And I said, okay, I did appreciate that scene, right? And then basically we ended with Haley still trying to dig into the Dupree business, but Bill tells her that, look, I always kind of tell you when the time is right. And so Haley's like, but I always, that's all when I pretty much figured everything out. And so Bill pacifies her and tells her that he told Tomas to basically get intel on his daughters. I guess he had to give her something. And in a way, I kind of respected Bill for it. I was like, that's smart. Hopefully it would make her shut up. And so Haley was like, well, why would you do that? And Bill says, well, at this point, it's been a lot of, things going on. And so at this point, I don't want no more surprises, only good ones. All right. And so Haley acts so shocked, but said, I know that's just who you are. And so then they get interrupted by a call from Ted asking him if he's seen the news about KKK Kenny. And Haley decides, well, she then picks up her phone and asks the person on the other end if they need anything and lets them know that she'll be in touch. And I was like, is this her surrogate? What y'all think? I don't know, y'all. But yeah, I mean, I guess Elaine, to your point, I think this was more of a filler than Monday, if you ask me. Um, but yeah, that's what I got from it. I mean, I know everything can't be boom, 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 but yeah, y'all. So y'all drop in the comments, let me know what you thought about episode 95. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like button. Make sure that you go ahead and subscribe, um, and comment, and make sure your notification bells are on because I am dropping our recap of the our Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion, part 2. Also have to drop y'all episode 2 to King's Court, which I really like that show. And then we know that BMF took a break last week, but we'll be back with our live on Sunday. Nels will be live on Saturday doing the shy. So yeah, make sure y'all are staying tuned. And oh, how could I forget? Members, I will see y'all tomorrow because I'm sure we're gonna be ranting about how disappointed, how mad we were, how we were yelling at the TV all this week. Members, do not forget about the live tomorrow night, 9 p.m. If you want to get in on it, the link to the membership is in the description box. Okay. But y'all have a great evening. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all episode 96. And then 90. Y'all know how this go. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.